Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. And in today's video, we will be talking about what it looks like to have your moon sign within the sign of Scorpio. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, I am not going to go super in depth with these nakshatras. We will talk briefly about the different nakshatras, but this is mostly going to be centered around the foundation of understanding how the moon will function in the sign of Scorpio. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. So before we get into understanding what it looks like to have the moon sign in the sign of Scorpio, we have to understand what the moon is all about. So here in Vedic astrology, the moon is considered to be the mind. It is the way that we think, the way that we feel. It is all of our behavioral patterns and cycles. Along with this, the moon is representing where we are getting our nourishment and comfort from. The moon is the controller of Cancer, which is the original fourth sign in the zodiac. It is our natural fourth house within the natural zodiac. And that fourth house is all about luxury, comfort, enjoyment, peace of mind, the mother, the homeland. It is where we get our nourishment and satisfaction from. And so the moon is representing where we are getting our emotional security along with our material security from. Along with that, the moon is representing the changing and fluctuation, which is making the moon one of the most accurate indicators of a personality, as those of you can be born within the same sun sign fitting into a 30-day window. The moon is changing every 2 to 3 days. And so those who are born under the sun sign can have a completely different moon sign, showing the inner functioning of a personality, how this person's thinking, how they're feeling, how they're making their decisions, how they are reacting to life, which is getting to the root of understanding human behavior and how people are within their minds. The moon is also connected to, once again, our emotional security, our comfort. It is all about the things that we enjoy and love in life. And so similar to Venus, the moon is indicating pleasure and nourishment. The moon is a position that is also about the sensitivity, the receptiveness. And so here, this is a very emotional, this is all about intuition, connection, and especially here within the sign of Scorpio. Now, this is a very interesting position. What happens when the moon comes into Scorpio? Well, Scorpio is controlled by Mars, and Mars has a neutral relationship with the moon. However, Scorpio is also co-ruled by Ketu. And Ketu is not an actual planet, it's one of our shadow planets that is dealing with the shadowy aspects of life. Those shadow planets always are bringing up the shadow lessons, the fears, the insecurities, the doubts, and the connection to past life experience. So these points are invisible points that are highlighting the invisible aspects of our human psyche and our life in general. And so here, with Scorpio's co-rulership of Ketu, there is an inimical relationship between the moon and Ketu, because the moon is all about what gives us true nourishment and comfort. Ketu is the illusion of what is giving us nourishment and comfort. As Ketu is all about our past life experience, it is about what we've already done. So we feel quite satisfied and content in that area. However, we don't grow until we are able to move out of that comfort zone. And so Ketu is actually giving us a lot of struggles, a lot of difficulties in life. And Ketu is a planet that gives us a lot of struggles in general to help us grow internally through deep transformation. So Ketu is a very explosive planet that brings a lot of difficulties and tumultuous situations in life. Very much the opposite of the moon, where the moon wants to give us peace, comfort, nourishment, relaxation. And so these two energies are very much opposing one another. Ketu also being about losses, fears, regrets. So again, we get this huge contrast between Ketu and the moon, and this is giving a very strong inimical relationship between the moon and Scorpio. And so the moon is actually debilitated in the sign of Scorpio. This is where the moon starts to lose its power, and we get this very intense functioning that is happening within the sign of Scorpio. The moon being all about our emotions, our thoughts, our reactions, and Scorpio being the most passionate and intense of all of the signs. So here, when the moon comes into the sign of Scorpio, we get someone who has very deep, intense feelings that are very explosive and can even be dangerous, leading to abuse, to addiction, to lots of fears and very tumultuous situations in life. This is someone who goes through a lot of paranoia, a lot of emotional disturbances and struggles throughout their life, those who have the moon in Scorpio. So this is a very intense position to have. Here, the moon is being forced to take you through these emotional experiences where you have to transform and grow within yourself. And so there's a lot of challenges and obstacles that is associated with the moon being in the sign of Scorpio. Now, along with that, the moon in Scorpio also can be good in the sense that it is increasing the emotional intensity and passion. And so those who have this position of the moon in Scorpio are very deep and profound thinkers and are very much looking for deep and intimate, raw connections. These are people with incredibly powerful emotions that can be used as a fuel to move towards their goals and achievements in life. Again, the intensity level that is here, the passion that is here, the feeling, the depth of feeling, and the depth of thought that is here within this position of moon and Scorpio is incredibly powerful. Those who have this position can also be very dominating and forceful with their emotions. The way that they are reacting, the way that they're responding, the way that they are utilizing their emotions in general can be very controlling and dominating. There can also be very intense emotions attached to this, such as holding on to grudges, jealousy, and even using that emotion to strike out against others in the form of retaliation or revenge. So there is this intense forcefulness behind the emotions and thoughts of those who have the moon in Scorpio. Now, along with that, we have to understand what is going on with Mars, what is going on with K2, and are there any planets that are involved with the moon's position? There are planets that can pacify and help to support and stabilize these energies of the moon in Scorpio. In particular, Saturn is the planet that is able to stabilize those explosive energies of Mars and K2. And so in this case, if Saturn is involved in some way, this can really help to stabilize and give some solid ground to all of that passion and intensity that is very unstable with the moon in Scorpio. Very interesting. Normally, I would say that Saturn involved with the moon would bring a lot of challenges and difficulties, but Saturn would really help to pacify those effects of the moon in Scorpio. Now, we also have to understand that when the moon comes into Scorpio, there are certain degrees where this debilitation happens. And so this is not all happening within every single degree of Scorpio. And so there are many of you who have these deep, intense, passionate thoughts and feelings, but are not acting on them in a revengeful or destructive way. You simply have these thoughts and feelings within you that are contained. And so it really depends upon the degrees and how close you are to those degrees of debilitation. Now, we also have to understand that there are 3 different nakshatras that are falling within the sign of Scorpio. And so those who are born under the same sign but born in a different nakshatra are going to behave completely differently. And so those of you who have your moon in Scorpio are not all going to behave in the same way. We have to understand those nakshatras. And so the first nakshatra that is falling within the sign of Scorpio is something that we discussed before in our previous video, as it started off in the sign of Libra and has come here into the sign of Scorpio. Now, this is an extremely intense position where the moon actually does become debilitated and is getting very close to a very weak spot where there's a lot of sensitivity in this area. And so those who are born under this Vishakha nakshatra with their moon sign tend to have a lot of struggles and difficulties surrounded around those emotions, where there can be a lot of controlling, a lot of jealousy, a lot of manipulation, a lot of intense fears and paranoias. This intensity, this sensitivity, this dominance of emotion is incredibly powerful here within Vishakha, especially as Vishakha is a nakshatra that is burning with passion. This nakshatra is all about the power, the intensity, the passion, the drive to go after your material goals and desires. But specifically here within the sign of Scorpio, this passion is centered around being a leader, having social status, being in a position of power and authority. And so those who are born within this position with their moon in Vishakha are typically looking to be known and respected by the public. They want to be respected and to be looked upon as a leader, as an authority figure. And in some cases, depending upon, again, how damaged or how intense this placement of Moon in Scorpio is, these people can also want others to fear them or to bow down to them. So there's a little bit of a power play that's happening here with the Moon in Vishakha. For those of you who were born with your moon within the second nakshatra of Scorpio, you are having this within the Anuradha nakshatra. Now this is incredibly different from Vishakha. Vishakha was incredibly intense, incredibly passionate, a lot of emotion that was in there. Here within this Anuradha nakshatra, it is controlled by Saturn. And we just discussed a little bit earlier in this video how Saturn is the one planet that stabilizes those intense, tumultuous energies of Scorpio. And so here within the Anuradha nakshatra, there is a little bit more of a friendly and down-to-earth nature. These are the people who don't have as much of that intensity and that difficulty with stabilizing those emotions. Here, there is more of stability due to Saturn's rulership over this nakshatra. And so those who are born here with the moon in Anuradha are incredibly sweet and devoted people, very tender and loving. These are people who are passionately devoting themselves within their career, within their life, within their spiritual practices and religious practices. These are people who are devoted all around. Anything that they are passionate about, that they believe in, they are putting all of their time, their energy, and effort into it. These are people who also can suffer from holding on to grudges or having moments of jealousy. But unlike other portions of Scorpio, these are people who are less likely to act out on revenge or to seek out to destroy or manipulate others. Again, we have this Saturnian energy that is stabilizing these ups and downs within this Scorpio sign. And so here, the moodiness, the ups and downs that happen here are actually stabilized here, where those who are born within this Anuradha nakshatra, who are having mood swings and changes happening within their psyche, are able to come to a place of peace and stability. These are people who are focused on love, on devotion, on friendship, and at times they can be overly friendly, overly extending themselves and sharing too much of themselves to others. And so there is a need here to find a sense of boundaries within this nakshatra as well. A little bit too much of the affection and the kindness that is here within this nakshatra. These are people who can also go for any sort of healing practices, any sort of charity or helping others. You can see a lot of great skills that are centered around nurturing and caring for others within this nakshatra. Those who are born within the last nakshatra of Scorpio are having their moon sign within the Jyeshta nakshatra. Here we get some more intensity as we are moving forward, but still this is not as intense as that Vishakha nakshatra. Once again, that was where most of the intensity was at. Here within this Jyeshta Nakshatra, there's more of a playful and curious nature here, as this is controlled by Mercury. So these are people who are incredibly curious, who have a very active mind. They love to explore and to gain knowledge. And these are people who tend to take a very long time to grow within their lives. But once they have grown and gone through different experiences, they become incredibly wise and profound individuals. These are people who are holding a lot of wisdom and experience within their lives, especially real world experience, because this is controlled by Mercury, which is all about the practical, mundane reality, right? Mercury is exalted within the sign of Virgo, which is our day-to-day life. So those who are born under this nakshatra have incredible practical wisdom and skills behind their belt from all of the experiences that they have gone through in life. These are people who are wanting to share their wisdom and knowledge with the world. These are people who are also security driven, and there's a little bit of an insecurity here in terms of status and reputation. These people want to be known as someone great. They want to achieve something great in their lives. They want to have a sense of security, and this is where the symbol of this nakshatra is an umbrella, right? These are people who want to feel like they are secure and stable within their lives in all areas. These are people who also can have a darker side to them as well. These are people who are interested in the occult, the mystical, and they can wrongly use these practices or skills against others. There is a tendency towards jealousy and towards revenge within this nakshatra here. So this has been my interpretation of what it looks like to have your moon within the sign of Scorpio. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell. If you have any additional questions, anything that you'd like to add, or anything that you'd like me to bring up in a future video, just leave it down below and I will get back to you. I want to thank you all so much for joining. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.